Social media, social justice, and social awareness. It's all interconnected, and today I'm going to be talking about how I started my social media management business and why I did so. My name is Ethan Wasico, and welcome to Socially Aware. My pronouns are he, him, and his, and I encourage you to keep sharing yours with people around you. Socially Aware is going to be your hub for all things social media and social justice combined. With over 300 pieces of anti-LGBTQ plus legislation passing through in this country, as well as the overturn of Roe versus Wade, and the general systemic racism that still exists and runs rampantly in this country, it is now more important than ever to be aware of all of the things and all of the people who are often overlooked in media, marketing, and social media as a whole. So Aware Social Media is kind of my brainchild that I started. I'm a communications major in college at the moment, and I'm still working toward that goal. And one of the things that I noticed was that there is a severe lack of queer, Black, Indigenous people of color, and just general representation for people who are not often represented. It's always able-bodied, cisgender, generally white people. And if it's not men, it's women, and it's usually them being objectified. The goal is to create an environment where people can share their thoughts and openly see themselves represented in the media properly. As a bisexual individual, it's really important to me to be able to see people of color, trans people, and other members of the LGBTQ plus community, as well as people with disabilities, be properly represented and acknowledged in the mainstream media and in every marketing strategy. Your business might not be focusing on targeting that audience, but that doesn't mean that people who exist in those communities might not be interested. For example, just because you're selling bikes does not mean that you shouldn't be targeting and representing people within these communities. When I was trying to figure out a name for the social media management freelance work that I was trying to do, I needed something more than just my name, and I was looking for something that represented the purpose of what I was doing. And as I was sitting in the shower, or standing, rather, I remember thinking to myself that I just want people to be more aware in what they're doing, and more aware of how they're saying things, and how stupid they might sound, or how neglectful of the rest of the world they might sound. With things as simple as just seeing yourself represented on a TV show, or seeing yourself represented in any form of literature. So it hit me when I realized that as I was scrolling through TikTok, that is one of the only places that I had actually seen myself in the people who are on there. And I thought that this is the perfect place for people to be able to represent people of all kinds, whether that be a person with a disability or somebody who is of color or a different ethnicity that is not just white. And also people among the LGBTQ plus community and people who are not in the general binary of male or female gender. It was really important to me to see that, and as I continued to see that for the last several years on my screen for the onset of the pandemic, which is still going on, so please be mindful and please mask up and get your vaccine, I realized that this is the niche that needed to be focused on. It was important to be able to represent people like myself in some ways and people who are not like myself in a lot of other ways in all of the content that is being shared. So, flash forward to the summertime. I am now a marketing and communications intern at San Diego Pride, and I have been here for several months. It has been phenomenal, and we just had a whirlwind of success with our comeback festival. We had several amazing artists across a variety of different entertainment zones, and it was just amazing to see the queerful glee, as we've coined it, of all of the LGBTQ plus folks, as well as people who are allies to the community, just being and existing in true authenticity and bliss. It's been through working here and being able to see a wider variety of people that exist in this world, a more diverse and more inclusive space, that I realized that this is so lacking in a lot of communities around the country. I come from a very small town in New Hampshire where everybody around me is the same color, and those who identify as LGBTQ plus aren't always able to feel like they're existing as their authentic selves. So being able to separate myself from this for just a little bit has allowed me to feel more represented in society, and I realize that this is something that businesses and brands and influencers, whatever you identify as, this is something that we so need that we're just not giving and we're just not getting. As I was trying to figure out what I needed to provide to the world, I said, okay, well, it's social media management for people who are not wanting to manage their own social media, but also consulting and guidance and coaching for those who are looking to figure out how they can make their social media presence a little bit more inclusive, or a lot of it more inclusive, and definitely more diverse. And truthfully, it's as simple as thinking a little bit beyond yourself for a minute. For example, let's say that you're what I consider to be the standard. And please know that this is just a statistical truth. Let's say that you're a cisgender, heterosexual, white individual. Not necessarily male or female, but that just might be who you are. A simple solution to creating a more diverse marketing strategy is looking to the communities that you might be leaving out. This might be acknowledging why a Pride Festival has to exist. This might be acknowledging why Black Lives Matter really doesn't mean that they're the only lives that matter, but that they matter too, which is a statement that should be completely obvious and shouldn't have to continue being repeated. But that is why that movement continues to exist. We have these things in the world because these communities still feel unheard, because they are often unheard, and they are often not free. So as I was developing a plan for how I could help people, I said I need to be able to offer coaching and opportunities to learn in an environment that is non-judgmental and provides a space that people can ask honest questions. Of course, I do not speak for everybody. I am still a cisgender, white individual. But that does not mean that I'm not socially aware. It is important to be able to make genuine connections and relationships with folks from all communities, especially those that are outside of the ones that you exist in. And most of the time you'll notice that there is quite a bit of intersectionality and a lot of people will come together. A lot of the things that I notice is that people are simply just not as informed as they should be, or as they could be. And sometimes it's by choice, and sometimes it's because they didn't know that these individuals existed in the way that perhaps the media has portrayed them in the past. For example, understanding that being transgender does not mean that you are going to have surgery to identify better with the gender that you might feel resonant with. One of the best things that a person might be able to do, for example, is understand and educate themselves a little bit more on something that they just don't know about. If you're concerned about using the proper pronouns for an individual, the simple solution is just asking what pronouns work for them. And of course, using gender-neutral pronouns until they know otherwise. It's very easy, and we have done it all of our lives without even thinking about it. So please do not try to make this more complicated than it needs to be. Another simple thing might be just understanding the differences between the different members of the LGBTQ plus community. I always try to remind people that it is not the gay experience, the black experience, or the trans experience. It is one person's story. Just because you know gay people, or people of color, or people who are transgender, does not mean that you are an ally. What makes you an ally is truly continuing to support those friends, voting for people and decisions that continue to support those people, and continuing to do things that are positively impacting that community. Some people might say that the choice to be the victim is what keeps people in victimhood in this situation. We are continuing to see things being taken away from people who exist in this country. The truth is that even if people did not hold prejudices, these issues would still be relevant because people would still be disproportionately impacted by this. So, Socially Aware is going to continue serving as a space where you can continue to learn more about how your social media strategy can be helpful to inclusivity and diversity in all aspects. It doesn't mean that drastic changes have to be made, or it might, but I'm here to guide you through it. I'm here to help you understand that nobody is mad at you for not acknowledging this. I always say you have the opportunity to learn, and whether or not you choose to do that is on you. So I can't get mad at you the first time, but if you do not realize that you're still making the same mistakes when it comes to social awareness, that's on you for trying to avoid it. It takes a lot of work. It takes a significant amount of unlearning. It takes a significant amount of new learning. Your willingness to do either is what matters most. So as this podcast and platform continues to grow, I hope to build a community, and I hope to see people from many different walks of life come together, ask questions, join me, promote their business, and just connect and network so that we can continue to grow and see what a diverse and inclusive network across the globe can look like. You can find me on a lot of different social media platforms. Obviously, I am on Instagram at Aware Social Media, as well as TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook, and LinkedIn. But to make it easier for you, there's a link tree in the description of this podcast, so just click that and find the one that you want to join me on. And of course, this podcast will not be the last, so please join me next week as I talk to my new friend Arlene. She is the founder of Poderosa Movement, a nonprofit that is dedicated to bringing spiritual wellness to communities of color and the LGBTQ plus community, and providing opportunities and scholarship to Black, Indigenous people of color, specifically women, who have been often overlooked in a primarily white, female-dominated industry. Join us, and I hope to see you then. Thanks for being socially aware.